What's up, guys? This is Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the broader markets and talk about some key levels that are being tested right now. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below or use my QR code right here to sign up. If you sign up and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 of free Nvidia stock. Deposits $2,000 to get $50 worth of Nvidia. Deposits $10,000 to get $300 worth of the stock, or deposit $50,000 to get $1,000 of free Nvidia. This is a very limited time offer, so if you want to earn $1,000 in Nvidia stock with a qualifying deposit, please check out my links down below to sign up or use this QR code. There's only 4 days left for this offer. Anyways, let's talk about what's happening with this market. So, looking at the SPY chart, I just wanted to mention that we're very, very sideways right now. We've been going back and forth between, I would say, the higher 680s and the low 680s for the last couple of days. And even yesterday, we saw something very similar being established. So when I go to the 30 minutes time frame, you could see the way the market has been moving. Basically, what happened was with Jerome Powell's speech, we sort of like pumped like this, right? SPY went from 682 up to about almost 690. Then we rejected with Oracle's earnings. Okay. So that's basically what we did. And then this morning, we saw SPY down here, all the way down to 682 a share. And then we basically bounced to fill this gap. And now we're going to see how we end up reacting. So if we could hold above 686, we could attempt to go back up to about 688. But if we fail, if we can't hold above 686, there's going to be a risk of us returning back down to 683.5 and eventually to retest these lows. So as of right now, we're kind of like in the middle. Even if we come back down to the lower 680s, we could still bounce again. And we're just pretty much trading sideways, right? We've been sideways for many, many weeks. SPY is just consolidating. It's been stuck until we see some kind of break. So I need to see SPY basically break past 690 to be bullish. As of right now, we got a rejection up there. If we break the 690 area, we could be bullish. But if we lose 682, there's going to be a risk of us basically dipping back down to 678 and then 675 to fill the gap. Right now, we are technically closer to 682, so there is some downside risk, but we're going to see if we get a rejection or not. Otherwise, we're still range bound, and until we get a big direction, we're still stuck. Same thing with the QQQ. We're pretty much just range bound. We pumped with Jerome Powell up to about 630. Then we rejected. We saw a massive dump to 618. Then we just got bought back up towards 625, and we're just trading sideways. The QQQ has been going sideways for many, many days, and there's still no break in the direction. We're going to have to be very patient with this as well. So what's happening with the news? Just as a reminder, today is Thursday, December 11th. We had some jobless claims data coming out at 8:30 a.m. And then we have some bill auctions coming out at 11:30 a.m. And that's pretty much it. And then for more news, the Fed also announced a 25 basis points cut. There wasn't really a whole lot that came out. It wasn't necessarily united, but the Fed is going to just note that there's an uptick in unemployment and we have to be very careful. So they are once again trying to ease up on policy, but they're going to be very cautious, and simultaneously they're going to have to see how the economy evolves. So they have to be very, very cautious with that. Now, on top of this, there is some more news that came out. Oracle had missed analyst expectations, and we saw the share price actually drop quite a bit, especially with their revenue miss. So as a result, that is also a drag down the tech sector. Despite Jerome Powell pumping the markets, we had some more news come out from Oracle's earnings that caused the market to dip back down, and now we're still kind of like stuck in the middle. And last but not least, I just want to add on that for today we have Broadcom and Costco announcing earnings after market close, and we'll see what that leads to moving forward. So with that being said, what do I think is going to happen? Well, honestly, if you want to be bullish, once again, and you want to see SPY take out 686, if we break that, we could be going to the higher 680s. If we're bearish, you want to see us reject and essentially lose 683.5. If that fails us, we could be looking for a retest of the lows we saw yesterday. But we need to take those outs to be really bearish, to truly break this trend. Ultimately, we're just chopping around. Keep that in mind. We're very choppy. We've been going back and forth in this range for a while. So we have to wait and see if we get a break. It looks to me like SPY is going to be at risk of dipping towards the low 680s, but we're going to see if we could basically bounce back up or not. We do like to bounce to the low 680s. I do think it might dip a little bit, and we'll see if we bounce. We need to lose the lows from yesterday to turn bearish. Otherwise, this might see a small decline, then we could bounce again as we're still range bound. So every time we dip to the low 680s, we bounce. Every time we go to the high 680s, we reject. We could dip to the low 680s, and the trend favors like a bounce. It's consolidation like this, unless we start breaking structure. The QQQ is very similar. We got this big pump with Powell. We came back down after Oracle's earnings. Now we bounced, came back up to fill the gap. If it breaks 625, we're going to be looking for an attempt to retest this resistance right here, closer to like 628 or a little bit under that. If we're bearish and we lose a 623, we could be dipping back down towards the low 620s. I do anticipate that this could be dipping to the low 620s. We're going to see if we bounce off this or not. But overall, it looks like it's going to trade sideways. If 620 fails, it's still the low, could be retested at 618 or below. But we're just range bound. Might pop a bit, then dip back down to 620, and we'll see what happens after that. For the IWM, we are basically making a lower high here. We need to bounce and get back above 255. If we don't, 253 will likely be tested. There's going to be a risk of some temporary downside. ES, it's still range bound. And then, like I had mentioned earlier, on the 4-hour, we have never invalidated this inverse head and shoulders like pattern. There's no sign of us basically breaking yet. We're going to see if we end up losing 68.30 to start dumping, or if we break 6900 to be bullish. It could go either way. But for today specifically, it does look like we could dip towards like 68.50. We might see some consolidation around there. So it might dip a little bit right over here, and we'll see how it ends up reacting. Do look for a small dip upon open. NQ as well, we're still completely range bound. We need to lose 25,300 to be bearish, or break 25,800 to be bullish. It might dip a little bit more towards 25,500, and we'll see what happens. Bitcoin has a double top rejection. We're going to see if we get back above 90,100. 90,300. If we break that, we could be looking for a bigger push. If not, if we reject off that, there's going to be a risk of us continuing to fall to like 89,000. Tesla pushed a little bit. It's also consolidating. It's not really bullish or bearish. If we break 450, we could attempt to get back up to 455. But if we reject here, there's going to be a risk of us returning towards 444. I anticipate it's going to consolidate, but Tesla's showing some life here. It might be trying to push for the low 450s. Might see a temporary bounce. Nvidia is bearish. It's making lower highs again. We need to get back above 183. If we don't, we're going to consolidate and dip back down to 178. So keep that in mind. Appl is also looking a little bit weak. We basically balanced a little bit, but my only concern is that there is the possibility of a larger head and shoulders. There's a left shoulder head and then a possible right shoulder if we make a lower high. I'd like to see us take out 280 to push for 282. If we can't hold above 280, it might kind of push here and consolidate, and there is a risk of rejection looking at the setup with that head and shoulders. A few more. We have Palantir. This is also showing some weakness. There's also a gap to fill below. This also resembles a head and shoulders on it. Left shoulder, head and right shoulder. Unless we hold above 186, we're going to consolidate, and there's going to be a risk of us dipping to the lower 180s. On AMD, we're technically on a downtrend. We need to get back above 218. If not, we're looking for 215. Coinbase is also on a downtrend. We have resistance at 270, but we're going to see if we reject or not off of that. It might bounce a little bit and try to get back up to 270, and we'll see how it goes. Amzn is pushing a little bit this morning, could be looking for a retest of 232 for a temporary bounce, but notice it's still range bound, even with a small bounce. Meta showing some weakness. We need to get back above 646. If we don't, we might consolidate and then dip back down to the low 640s. Google's looking more bullish. It's going to be favoring 322, and then Microsoft is going to be favoring some downside. Unless we hold above 480, we could be looking for 477, and we'll see how it goes. Last but not least, Oracle has dumped quite a bit. It's still dipping, and that is a bearish catalyst. Could be looking for the low 190 area right now, and we'll see if we hold. Will the VIX bounce here? We came down to fill this gap, but overall, the VIX does love to bounce near the 15s, so we're going to see if we bounce or not, but overall, just be very patient. So the market is just range bound right here. We're going to see if we get a dip as time goes on before we potentially react. If we get back above 686 on SPY, we could try to bounce, but overall it just looks pretty much range bound. And we're going to see if we get a dip later on, but overall Just watch the range and be very unbiased with the way in which you play this. The charts are, once again, very interesting, and we're still technically in a big range. Thank you for listening, and peace out.